appreciate baseball as it happened, not today or last week, but in the past. First way, of course, is books. There are more and more baseball books being done all the time. I was the editor of a publication called the Saber Review of Books, and another one called the Cooperstown Review, which we just reviewed baseball books for serious baseball fans. And we thought then that, this was in the early 90s, that this was the most baseball books we'd ever see coming out. It's more and more all the time. Just want to show you a couple. This one here, that's mine, Golden Age of Baseball, published by Publications International. What I really like about it, not only does it have one of the greatest hitters of all time on the cover, it has one of the greatest hitters of all time on the cover. Yeah, so that you have a dust jacket, which is good, it helps the book stay clean. But if you lose it or it's run, you still have the same amount. That's great. Yeah, that's a very, very nice. I've never seen that. This is that's the history of baseball from 1920, when Ruth arrived in New York, to 1978, which was the last Yankee dynasty before the new one. I said, well, why can't we go to 1979 when my Pirates won the World Series? And they said, no, New York, so you get the things up. Okay, fine, thanks very much. The sidebars and captions and stuff, but I wrote the entire text, which was kind of fun to follow through the themes about what was happening. There's 1920s, the year of the Black Sox, and all those things that tie together there. Another book type of project is this little thing. I have 3 copies here. It's Baseball, 2 words, a journal of the early game. It's baseball, 2 words, because the era we're talking about, baseball was 2 words. This book is published by McFarland International twice a year. I'm the book review editor of this as well. And here are some flyers if you're interested in looking at that. The book is edited by John Thorne. Now, John Thorne was the first publications director of the Society of American Baseball Research, which made him my immediate predecessor because I was the secretary. He discovered the oldest reference to baseball in American history yet found, which is a citation from the town of Pittsfield, Massachusetts in 1791, which banned the playing of the game within 80 yards of the town meeting hall. I mean, we can't find anyone saying what a great game baseball was before then, but the first thing we hear is, no playing baseball in the town meeting hall. Apparently 219 years ago, baseball was already a problem for some people. So this journal goes from the origins, as we say, capital letters, the origins, up to 1920. Again, when Ruth comes to New York, a lively ball, that changes everything. And there is some, I mean, for history, there's some fascinating stuff in there. It's worth taking a look at. There's flyers there to enjoy. Other books, these are 2 of the best baseball books I've ever read, and they just came out in the past couple of years by the same person. 2-volume set called A Game of Inches, the stories behind the innovations that shaped baseball. Peter Morris has done here is he's taken everything you can think about the game and found out the first recorded example of it. From substitutions, double switches, pinch runners, courtesy runners, lineups, batting out of order, second place hitters, teaching techniques, growth of the profession, internet intentional walks, signs to playing by the book, playing by 1 run, don't put the winning run on base. He has gone through and found the first written example of any time that has come up for all of these slides, head first slides, feet first slides, air dives, hook slides, stamp slides, sliding drills, pickoff moves, ambidextrous pickoffs, pickoffs at second, seesaw play, pickoffs with second baseman covering first. I mean, you can pick this book up anywhere. Just open it up and read it, and you're going to find a great story. Then he does the same thing with the off-the-field information. In other words, we'll start from the beginning. Building a team, minor leagues, trades and sales, roster restrictions, scouting, player development, the ballparks, the dirt, the basics, the amenities, items added for spectators, turnstiles, luxury boxes, press boxes, covered seating, reserve seats, standing room accommodations, Marketing and promotions, promotional campaigns and themes, statistics, box scores, line scores, beer at the ballpark, food, peanuts, hot dogs, sushi, seventh inning stretch, the wave, fireworks. I mean, it's here. It's a very, very impressive piece of work. And of course, he won the Seymour Award. The Seymour Award is the, in conjunction with the Society for American Baseball Research, the award for best baseball book of the year. Named after Harold Seymour, who was the first historian to write about baseball history. So that's books. Now, baseball is also available in recording as well. I go a lot to otr.net on the web, which has a whole section of sports, including some great stuff in the 1936 World Series. There's a supplier out of California called The Radio Lady, and that's her website, theradiolady.com, who has great sports stuff, including a complete set of the Babe Ruth show, which I've never been able to find out, was that really Babe Ruth on that show, or was that someone signed just like him? Yeah. He signed just like him. Oh, really? I thought, well, at least the first one I heard didn't sound like that. So that's an easy way to get old-time radio baseball together. I also came across Baseball Direct. Again, these are all just on the URL sheet, which advertises World Series videos going back to 1943. You want to live in the past. Was it 44 or 43 that was the St. Louis World Series?
That was 44.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that the only time that the two teams from St. Louis match up against each other in the World Series. The reason why that was interesting is because one of them was the Browns, who were never except during the war, they had all the good 4F players. So that's a way to appreciate old-time baseball through old-time radio or through old-time videos. Then come museums. There's been an explosion of baseball museums. As I said, this list is about as complete as I can make it, but there are lots of museums devoted to individual players. Of course, the Cal Ripken Museum is right down here. We have Enos Slaughter Museum, the Yogi Berra Museum, Nolan Ryan Museum, the Roger Maris Museum, Ted Williams Museum. He moved from where he originally was back to a ballpark up the riverway. Ty Cobb Museum. Some of these are connected with historical societies. The Western Pennsylvania Sports Museum, which I'm quite familiar with, is an excellent one. Cleveland has the Western Reserve Historical Society. So if you want to dig back into baseball history by going to the museums, of course, Cooperstown is the granddaddy of all of them. That's where you can find more ways to enjoy baseball from the old days when it wasn't zillionaires making zillions of dollars. But the real connection, if you are a baseball fan of baseball in the past, the real connection, the place you have to be is in the Society for American Baseball Research. That's SABR, S-A-B-R. Any SABR members here? Or used to be? Here's some forms right here. This is the SABR. Sign up forms for their information about the society. SABR now has over 7,000 members. Their last convention in Cleveland in June had 632 people there, and that was only the 5th largest convention ever. So they get quite big crowds for these. You know, if you're into talking baseball, you go anywhere, open your mouth, and you're in a conversation with someone who knows everything about it.
You get a lot of good, nice publications and stuff. Right? Being a member.
That was the next thing I was going to say. Here's 2 of the more recent SABR publications. This one's an annual publication called the National Pastime. We also do one called the Baseball Research Journal, which is more research. This is more magazine type kind of a piece. There's a great article, Branch Rickey in books, all the books about Branch Rickey, reviewed by Terry Smith. But and these are quality publications. I mean, they're nice work, good layout, good design. Here's the 10 Commandments of Heckling. Come up with heckling. Well, I mean, you know, thou shalt not use profanity. Thou shalt not insult the mother. I mean, it's